Good evening and welcome to the October 15, 2018 meeting of the Gaston County Board of Education. I am Kevin Collier, the chairman. To my left is the vice chairman, Jeff Ramsey. And I'm going to let the board members introduce themselves, starting to my right and the township they represent.
Lee Dutton, Gaston Township.
Justin Davis, South Point Township.
Terry Usry, Cherryville.
Catherine Roberts, Dallas Township.
Dot Cherry, at-large member.
Thank you, board members. On behalf of the board, thank you for being here, and for those that are watching us on the internet or TV, thank you for watching the Board of Education meeting. Our next order of business is the prayer and pledge. Mr. Booker.
Thank you. Father God, we just thank you for beautiful days. Thank you for your guidance and protection. We ask that you pour out your loving compassion and kindness on those in Florida and as it traveled to the Carolinas, all those touched by the storm. Just be with those families, Lord, and just allow the workers access and to have speed in restoring things, Lord. And let it not drop from our memories as we move forward in the comforts that we enjoy. We ask tonight that you be with this Board of Education and all that it does to help lead the school system, and remember that it is for our community and for our students. And we just thank you for the opportunity to serve. Amen. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move on, I always like to recognize some folks, and especially some young folks here. We have some Boy Scouts here working on their citizenship merit badges. And what troop are you representing? I'm sorry? Okay. Thank you, and keep up the good work, as I encouraged them earlier. And Boy Scouts are a great organization.
Do you want to claim that you're an Eagle Scout?
I've already told them that. So, the next item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. This is an action item. Motion by Ms. Cherry, second by Mr. Ramsey. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor show by raising your hand. And it's unanimous. The next item is good news. Mr. Booker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, we have a lot of good news, and I hope you heard as we were saying the pledge. We've got a lot of young voices in the audience tonight who know the pledge, and we appreciate having them with us tonight. But to begin our good news, I would like to recognize a student from Forest View High School, Rogan Smith. Rogan is the first student in Gaston County to complete the state requirements for the North Carolina Pre-Apprentice Program for Masonry. The program is designed to give students like Rogan the credentials needed for pre-apprenticeships in any trade. The state-approved masonry contractors can hire students who've completed their school masonry program. This gives students an opportunity to complete the required minimum of 135 hours of work-based learning with their employer. Rogan completed his hours with McGee Brothers Masonry Company and is well on his way to becoming a North Carolina masonry apprentice after graduation. Once he graduates, he'll continue to work towards his journeyman status in masonry. We want to congratulate you, Rogan, and we appreciate you leading the way for us as we believe in career and technical education, and this is a great accomplishment. Mr. Davis?
First, I want to say this is an absolutely fantastic honor for him, and just another great example of our county leading the way in career and technical education. Rogan, we're all very proud of you. This is a great achievement, and we wish you all the best in your future, because there certainly is a big future, because as you can see, there's building and construction going on everywhere. So we're really proud of you working towards being work ready when you get out of school. So congratulations again. Thank you.
I'm going to stand behind Rhoda.
There you go, absolutely.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Joe.
Members of the board, you may know that we have a great partnership with the German community, and they support both Ashbrook and Forest View in our German program. And tonight we want to recognize our teacher from Forest View High School, Ms. Smith-Rankin. She has received the Goethe Institute Certificate of Merit from the American Association of Teachers of German for her efforts to advance the teaching of German language in the United States. And anyone who has ever worked with her knows she has great passion for this and is a great advocate, not only for our school system, but for German language. The teachers can be recognized for outstanding teaching, creative and successful activities promoting German, innovative curriculum, successful course design, and significant contributions to the profession. She'll be honored later this year at the annual conference of the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages. Ms. Smith-Rankin, thank you so much for all that you do for Gaston County Schools and the hard work you bring to your classroom every day for your students. There are a lot of people that have gotten to travel internationally because of your hard work, and we just thank you for all the firsthand application you bring to our language and culture program. We're proud that you're part of Gaston County Schools. Ms. Guthrie.
Ms. Rankin, I am going to share before presenting this plaque with you. A great educator named Michael Jr. once attended a session for educators, and he asked a gentleman in the audience to sing Amazing Grace. He sang Amazing Grace, and then Michael asked him again, now think about someone in your family that's ill or someone that's been hurt, and I want you to sing it again. So the second time he sang the song with passion. And I heard the superintendent say that you have a great passion for what you do.
I do.
On behalf of the Gaston County School Board, the superintendent, and all of the educators and children here in Gaston County, I am honored to have the pleasure of presenting this certificate to you for outstanding achievement, American Association of Teachers of Germany, Kevin L. Collier, Chairman, W. Jeffrey Booker, Superintendent. We are very happy that you have such passion, and we understand how important it is for our young people to learn a second language. Congratulations to you.
I'm glad you didn't ask me to sing something.
Not right now. Sing, are you?
Ms. Hauser, please. Thank you, Christopher.
Oh, no, I love to sing with my kids.
Well, just say good afternoon in German for us.
They don't say good afternoon.
What do they say?
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag.
Yeah.
All right, you heard it first. You have family?
I do. No, there's no family here. They are in Europe.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
And would you greet the board, please? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Gaston County. Keep German up.
Well, members of the board, get ready for pure energy now. It is my pleasure to recognize students from Heather Wilson's class at Mount Holly Middle School. Are you going to bring the boat in, Mr. Goodson?
Yes.
The class took part in the U.S. National Whitewater Center's Build Your Own Boat competition. Using math and science to design the USS Hawk, students built a boat that was able to successfully navigate the rapids in the Whitewater Channel.
Wow.
So here comes the boat. And while they're bringing in, recognize 40 boats competed. This was the only school entry in the competition. And of the 40 boats that tried to make it down the rapids, only 8 made it to the bottom, and you're looking at one of the 8 that made it. And to give you an appreciation for it, they have some videos for you to watch.
And Mr. Booker, this first video that we're going to watch has, the audio is a little low, so we'll pay close attention to hear it.
Facilitated this summer at NCAP, which is the North Carolina Center for Advancement of Teaching, and he approached me with the idea that we need to get a team together of kids to build the boat. We applied some science, math, a little bit of language arts in our research and our reading to design and build this boat. They took that knowledge and they were to design a boat that they felt like would be successful making it down the Whitewater Channel.
We used duct tape so that way it would be really secure, and then we used the inflatables under so that way when you sit it's still gonna float, and then we just duct taped all this together so it would be one piece and it wouldn't be a bunch of different pieces separated.
The buckets you see were supposed to be 50-gallon drums. We came up with the idea of the paint buckets. We thought it would serve the same purpose, not be quite as large. Several of, I think, the past winners or the ones that were successful making it down the whole channel had the 50-gallon drums, and that's where that idea came from, but we kind of modified it and made it our own. You know, it's like any other boat. When you build it, you've got to make sure it doesn't sink. So we're going to a boat launch here in Mount Holly and put it in the river. A few of us sit in it and make sure that it's going to hold us, that all of our design thinking is actually going to work.
It was a really cool experience, and we got to learn a lot. It wasn't just a project that we did. We got to learn stuff that we can use for real life.
I'm extremely proud of my students and what the design they came up with. My goal is to have as many Gaston County parents, students, families to come out and support us, because the crowd response determines best in show, and I just want that for my students for their hard work. Chris Goodson and I facilitated
Mr. Booker, that video showed the adults testing the boat in the river. Let's take a look at the students now going down the channel.
What a way to make your classroom come to life. Use math, science, and engineering. And also, let's don't forget all those soft skills that we're looking for, teaming and working together and problem solutions. So, Mr. Collier.
Story I'll try not to take up all night. I have a son that's in his junior year at Chapel Hill, and he's in business and finance, but he come home with tennis shoes with some duct tape on them. So I thought about this, and in his 2.5 years at Chapel Hill, I said, tell me what's the most important thing you've learned. He said, duct tape. And I said, what do you mean duct tape? He says, well, if you can't fix it with duct tape, you're not using enough duct tape. So when I saw the raft, you know, this is just an amazing thing of what you guys have designed. I also didn't know that in the teacher's job responsibilities, testing student watercraft was one of their tasks. But that was impressive just to see the adults in the
Or taking it down the Whitewater.
Okay, but that was something else, and even to make it to the bottom, that was an incredible task. Well, we are proud of you. This is quite an achievement, and we have a certificate of recognition for Mount Holly Middle School for an outstanding achievement to build your own boat competition. And I don't know who gets to keep this.
Dave Wilson.
Ms. Wilson.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Here that participated in helping. We'll make sure Sean gets a picture of everyone.
Dermot, in the back. Chris, let's have you next to Mr. Collier, right between those two stands. Perfect. All right. This way, I get the boat in the picture. All right, thank you.
Now, if y'all will all shake the board's hand, let's go around here, right here in the end. Congratulations. Good job.
Well, members of the board, this final good news item tonight is actually about you. Mr. Ramsey, Mr. Hoskins, and I attended the recent district meeting of the North Carolina School Boards Association, and Gaston County was one of the boards of education in the Charlotte region to receive the prestigious Gold Bell Award. The Gold Bell Award honors boards of education for whole board training and outstanding school boardmanship during the 2017-18 academic year. All 9 of our board members, all 9 of you, completed the required training in demonstrating commitment and excellence in the role as an elected member of the Board of Education. You may recall that you have received this award for the past several years, which shows your level of commitment as a board to participate in the training and professional development programs that your association, the North Carolina School Boards Association, offers. I brought the plaque for you to see tonight because we will display it in the lobby as we have done for the last several years. So on behalf of the whole staff, congratulations.
Mr. Ramsey, yeah. Mr. Ramsey.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to note we were the only one that won the gold award. No one else did, so they was really impressed. But I would like to personally thank our board clerk, Dana, for making it so easy for us to look good. So thank you, Dana, for your work.
Yes, I'll ditto that, Mr. Ramsey. Our board clerk does a good job making us aware of all those opportunities, all those codes, ethics, morals, courses, and things that we take, boardsmanship and all those. Thank you very much, Dana, for making us aware and keeping us in line on the calendar so that this board can do this. I mean, in the past, we've had several people do it, but for the entire board to do it, I personally want to thank the entire board for all their work.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is public expression. Before we begin public expression, I'll need to read the rules of procedure. Citizens wishing to make comment who have completed a request to speak form will be recognized by the chair and then requested to step to the microphone to my right and for their comments. Citizens will state their name and address for the record. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The members of the board do not respond to public expression during public expression. Public expression does not allow for comments of confidential or personnel matters. The chair shall rule on all points of order during public expression. We have some citizens signed up, and they're in no particular order. The first citizen I have is Nancy Gage.
Long time no seen. I've been very busy. I told the children getting older, it will be easier for me to be independent, but no, I have to pay more attention now. I am Nancy Gage at 408 North Mountain Street, Cherryville, North Carolina, 28021. This season, I was able to be closer to the sports. Now, I don't appreciate that you invite people to other cities and your restroom and your park and your place of where the sport is going to be played is dirty, is messy, is abandoned, is neglected. I would like you to work with the city in order for be more presentable, more decent. I already went to the city in my location and I addressed that, but obviously I cannot do it by myself. So if you can just reach out. One of them is open to talk to the school people that take care of the place and try to see if they can give some maintenance to the parks in order to invite people over. It's very disgusting that you tell people come over and I have a mess in my place. It's very embarrassing. The communication. Please, if you're going to say meet me at 2 o'clock like today, 5:30, you start today, I have to be there at 5:30. I don't come and call you saying, no, I'm going to show up at 7. Can you wait? Can you be delayed? No. You keep going. But I know what is going on. So if you can keep communication one-on-one or text, email, 2018, 2019, you still have no communication. Now, the communication within the school is getting better. The teachers are answering me within, I don't know, less than 24 hours. So I'm very proud for that. They're very good at it. Also, I learned something that I am very disappointed because the point of a school is to teach children to get along, to work together. So I learned that there is this hierarchy where if I am a 12th grader, I'm better and stronger and prettier and I can command you and humiliate you and tell you off. Why? It's not my fault that I was born after you. And a 9th grader deserves the same respect that a 12th grader. It made it all the way there. And if you know my environment, those children struggle, most of them, to get where they are. Nowadays, I'm seeing people either quitting or going for a job, stopping going to school, most probably because they have no support whatsoever. But in the meanwhile, I had to see 12th graders feeling better and bossing around 9th graders, 10th graders. What's wrong with you? You're trying to teach people to be equal, but I'm better because I'm in 12th grade? Really? Well, give me 2 more minutes.
Ms. Gage, if you could wrap it up in a minute, please.
Yes, I can do that. I know that we had a hurricane and that we have a schedule for Thursday for parent-teacher conferences. I tried to reach out the principal. He said that it's on your hands, that you are the ones that organize that. Do you mind if you have these things going on, having a backup date? Because it's very annoying that now you have to reach out again to the teachers, and they have a life, they have a job, they have things to do, and then now we have to reschedule. That will be pretty much it. So I don't know if you're going to have the parent-teacher conference for this season, but I will appreciate it if you could. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next citizen signed up is Mr. Charles Hill.
Hello, my name is Charles Hill. I live at 502 Huffstetler Road in Gastonia. 28056. And I have a daughter, well, I have 3 kids in Gaston County schools right now, but I have a daughter that's a senior at Forest View High School. And on September 17th, I'm sure you're all aware, there was a threat of mass violence made at the school. I know the threat was notified to the teachers or whatever at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which put towards the end of the day. The investigation was started, whatever, and the individual that made the threat ended up being arrested on Tuesday. And he was held on a $250,000 bond, so that tells me there is something very substantial to these threats, very credible evidence, credible whatever. My problem is that parents were not notified about any of this until Wednesday after the news broke on WSOC TV. It broke in the Gaston Gazette, and that's completely and totally unacceptable. And the reason I'm here today is I would like to have somehow make sure this policy, whatever policy that failed, utterly failed to notify us of a threat, to give us the opportunity to keep our kids home and keep them safe on Tuesday when this kid was still not arrested. And let me say this too, I found out that it was credible enough that the principal from Forest View High School on Tuesday morning contacted the principal at W.A. Best, which is right behind Forest View, if you know where they are, to tell her of the threat, and they took it upon themselves to keep kids away from the playground and the track area until they were aware that this student had been arrested. So to me, if it was good enough to notify them and to notify teachers that were specifically threatened, they were notified on Monday night. For parents of students there who are in direct threat to not be notified until Wednesday is totally unacceptable and can never happen again. You know, how are we as parents supposed to keep our kids safe, and if we cannot trust the Gaston County school system to notify us of a threat? I don't know. I've emailed you, Mr. Booker. I've emailed I don't know who else. And then to have, this is what really got me, to have Todd Higgins in the Gazette state that it's a shame parents are complaining about notifications. That's downright insulting and demeaning. And if there's 2 things that I would like to happen by me coming here tonight, is one is have the policy corrected where parents are notified, first and foremost. But second, I believe myself and every parent of Forest View High School deserves an apology from Mr. Higgins for insulting us for being concerned about the safety of our kids. That's all I have.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, is there anyone else that signed up? Okay, well, that concludes our public expression. The next item on the agenda is approval and correction of the minutes from September 17, 2018. Motion by Ms. Guthrie, second by Ms. Cherry. Any questions or conversations about the minutes from September 18th? Seeing none, all those in favor, show by raising your hand. It's unanimous, and they are approved. The next item is classroom moment. This is information. Dr. Balknight.
Good evening, Chairman Collier, Vice Chairman Ramsey, Superintendent Booker, and Board of Education members. I would like to welcome our elementary team up. I would say to you, this is our second classroom moment, as we just enjoyed a great classroom moment and good news from Mount Holly Middle. So I'll turn it over at this time to our Executive Director of Elementary Instruction, Mr. Jackson.
Chairman Collier, Vice Chairman Ramsey, members of the board, Superintendent Booker, I'm excited to be presenting the classroom, or helping to present the classroom moment. On September the 28th, a number of our schools had a chance to participate in the Catawba River Steam Festival. And I was most excited about attending with them because they had a chance to participate in a lot of hands-on activities. And I know sometimes in schools, students always ask when we're learning, what are we going to use this for? It was a great example of what we do in our classroom with inquiry-based learning happens every day. And it was a partnership with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, but it also was with Duke Energy and a lot of other companies that when students can graduate years and years down the line, they know how that applies to their learning and what they will do in the future. So I won't take much more time, but we have teachers and students from Belmont Central that will share their experience along with Ms. Whitworth, who's here from Belmont Central. I also have, this is the actual schedule and some photos from the event on September 28th. And without further ado,
My name is Carmen Adams, and I teach 5th grade at Belmont Central. What you just saw was some of our 5th grade students and what they got to experience at the Catawba River STEM Festival. The Catawba River STEM Festival offered standard-based hands-on learning and engaging activities for 5th grade students. On September 28th, our 5th grade students engaged in an authentic learning experience where they stepped out of the classroom to learn about the world around them. As you can see from the slideshow, hands-on learning opportunities provide a high level of student engagement, which results in a proven method of increasing education retention rates. The festival is a partnership among UNC Charlotte Center for STEM Education, Duke Energy Explorium, Gaston County Schools, and CMS. It is held at the Energy Explorium in Huntersville, North Carolina.
My name is Tanya Fasella, and I work at Belmont Central as well. Along with Belmont Central, the following schools attended this event: Catawba Heights, Hawks Nest STEAM Academy, and McAdamville, with a total of 285 5th graders attending from Gaston County Schools. The focus is on the Catawba River and the importance to the greater Gaston, Charlotte area. Science, technology, engineering, and math skill development is a key component of career readiness. And we have brought along 2 students that would like to share their experience. And the first one we have is Skylar Martin. And he is going to share, he attended the Flow Free Charlotte station.
At the Flow Free Charlotte station, we learned about what to and what not to put down our drainage pipes, and like oils and grease, because it could back up our system and could cause a very disgusting overflow. And about how how stuff can biodeteriorate in septic tanks, and like what to put down our sinks and pipes.
Okay, thank you. Our next student is also Skylar Foster, and she is going to tell us about her station Food Web Freeze Tag.
At our station we attended, we basically played this game. If you were green, you were a plant. If you were yellow, you were an herbivore. If you were orange, you were an omnivore. And if you were red, you were a carnivore. And basically, if you were red, you only got to eat the yellow and the green cards. If you were orange, you got to eat everything. If you were yellow, you only got to eat the plants. And if you were the plants, you just stood there. So basically, when it was my turn to be the omnivore, which is orange, I ate everyone, and everyone was mad at me because I got them out. So, thank you.
Okay, are there any questions or?
I'll just say that that's a lesson that she will not forget soon. In fact, carry the rest of her life.
I have a question, may I please, yes, sir? Okay, first of all, I want to say to you young people, I admire you, I adore you, and of course, you participated in STEM. That's an acronym for the science, technology, engineering, and math, but I have my own acronym for STEM. Students, teachers, exciting me, because that's exactly what you did this evening. Thank you so very much, and it appears to me that you enjoyed every moment because you were able to share with us your excitement, which generated excitement in us. So thank you very much, and I do want to shake your hands. And I congratulate the teachers as well.
Thank you.
That was wonderful. I love it. I was wondering what you ate, and you did tell me. Thank you so much. We are so proud of you. Keep up the good work. You are energizing children. Thank you. We are so proud of you. Continue to keep up the good work. We are proud. You know that.
And I'll send you his picture tomorrow. Hold on one second. You go and get a picture? You good? Okay. We're good.
Mr. Davis.
If I could just add one thing, I just want to thank Skylar and Skylar for coming tonight, and I want to tell them what a great job they did public speaking this evening. It's very intimidating to come before all of these adults and grown-ups and to be on television, but both of you did a fantastic job. So thank you for coming here tonight, and great job on your public speaking this evening. Congratulations.
All right, the next item is National Principals Month Proclamation. Mr. Hagans.
Good evening, Chairman Collier, Vice Chairman Ramsey, members of the board, and Superintendent Booker. October is National Principals Month. The annual observance is sponsored by the National Association of Elementary School Principals and the National Association of Secondary School Principals. This year's theme is Great Schools Have Great Principals. One suggestion for people to show their appreciation for principals is to give a shout out on social media using the hashtag #ThankAPrincipal. We have a proclamation to present to the board for your consideration, and at this time I would like to read the proclamation. It's a proclamation for National Principals Month. Whereas the month of October is designated National Principals Month in recognition of principals, assistant principals, and other school administrators for their outstanding efforts, leadership, and commitment to providing a quality education for every child. And whereas the theme for this year's observance is Great Schools Have Great Principals, and it is intended to highlight the belief that the key to student success is a great school, and the key to a great school is a great principal. And whereas principals and assistant principals are responsible for the day-to-day operation of their school, which includes leading the instructional program, and they work diligently to make the school building a place for excellent teaching and learning in a safe and nurturing environment. And whereas we are extremely proud of our principals and assistant principals in Gaston County Schools, and we appreciate their dedication to our vision to inspire success and a lifetime of learning, and also to promote the value of public school education. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Education is pleased to join other boards of education across the United States in proclaiming October 2018 as National Principals Month, and encourages the citizens of Gaston County to join in the celebration by thanking principals, assistant principals, and all school administrators for the care and concern they show for our children. Be it further resolved that this proclamation be made a part of the minutes of the Board of Education adopted this, the 15th day of October, 2018. And Mr. Chairman, this proclamation is before the board for approval, and pending your approval, we have several guests with us this evening to accept the proclamation on behalf of our principals. With us this evening are Jessica Steiner, principal of Cramerton Middle School, who is the chairperson of our principals leadership team, Phyllis Whitworth, the principal of Belmont Central Elementary School, who was last year's Gaston County Principal of the Year, and Denise McLean, principal of the Highland School of Technology, who is this year's Gaston County Principal of the Year.
This is an action item. Ms. Guthrie.
I move that we accept the proclamation as presented. And I second.
A motion by Ms. Guthrie, second by Ms. Cherry. Any comments? Ms. Guthrie.
I don't have a comment, but I do have a standing ovation.
Mr. Collier, we'll have the representatives that are with us tonight to come forward, and if you would like to come forward and
well, let me get a vote from the board very quickly.
I got ahead of myself.
With that, all those in favor show by raising your hand, and it is unanimous. Okay. Mr. Booker, who's going to present the principals? Okay. If our principals will come forward. Congratulations, and I'm glad that you folks are here tonight to accept this award for our proclamation for the principals this month, even though we're halfway through this month.
Let's put you in the middle, Ms. McLean, and give you the plaque. We'll have Ms. Steiner and Ms. Whitworth each side. Come forward. There you go, perfect. Just like that. All right, thank you.
right, the next item on the agenda is our school improvement plans, one of our famous acronyms, SIP. This is an action item. Rebecca Powers.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Collier, Vice Chairman Ramsey, board members, and Superintendent Booker. Tonight, I'm sharing with you information about the school improvement plan process and seeking approval for our 2018 to 2020 school improvement plans. It is a requirement of the state of North Carolina that all schools create a school improvement plan and use this plan as a tool to drive school improvement over the course of a 2-year time period. The law specifies that each school shall develop a school improvement plan that considers the goals set out in the mission statement for the public schools adopted by the State Board of Education, and the annual performance goals for that school as established by the State Board of Education. Annual performance goals must focus on student performance in reading, math, and communication skills in elementary and middle schools. Student performance in courses required for graduation and on other measures in high schools, and hold schools accountable for the educational growth of their students. These plans are implemented on a 2-year cycle with our new plans beginning this 2018-19 school year. The school improvement plans for Gaston County Schools have been developed and aligned to the requirements of the following documents and sources: North Carolina State Strategic Plan, Gaston County School Strategic Plan, the North Carolina Accountability Model, Title I required components of school-wide programs, and the Advanced Ed School and District Accreditation Standards. IndaStar is the platform that the state uses to support our school improvement planning. In the state of North Carolina, we refer to IndaStar as NC-STAR. They are one and the same. In the past, our low-performing schools have been required by the state to submit their school improvement plans using the NC-STAR platform. At the beginning of this school year, we moved as a district to a district-wide implementation of the NC-STAR school improvement planning tool. NC-STAR is highly effective in helping schools create and monitor their plans throughout the school year. This platform provides a way for schools to upload meeting agendas and minutes, as well as set goals, add strategies and actions throughout the improvement process, and to receive feedback from their executive directors. All schools are required to have 3 improvement goals. These improvement goals are to focus on improving student proficiency in the areas of reading, math, and science for elementary and middle grade levels. For high school, improvement goals are to focus on English 2, Math 1, and biology. As a part of the new NC-STAR school improvement planning tool, schools are required to focus on key indicators that become strategies in their school that lead to school improvement. In NC-STAR, there are 125 indicators that schools may focus on. Beginning in the summer of 2018, we created a focus group of district and school leaders that took these 125 indicators and worked together to choose 4 common indicators that all 55 schools would focus on and work towards implementing within their school during the 2-year school improvement plan cycle. The 4 common indicators are the following. All schools will focus on and implement tiered instructional practices. This would include our MTSS, multi-tiered system of support process that we currently implement at each school. All schools will focus on and implement actions that reduce student discipline and increase safety. This would include our PBIS, Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports programs that we have implemented within our schools. All schools will focus on and implement professional development opportunities based on information gathered through assessment and walkthrough data. And all schools will focus on and implement actions that increase parent involvement. After each school wrote their new school improvement plan in NC-STAR, the executive directors and myself met with each principal through a video conference using our Google Hangouts communication platform. During the review, principals were able to share their new plan for school improvement and were provided feedback on their goals and their strategies. One of the greatest benefits of moving to NC-STAR as a district is that we have access to school improvement plans at all times. Executive directors, along with other district leaders, are able to review these plans and see the additions that schools are making and provide feedback on actions that have been implemented and that are still in the planning stages. This feedback tool allows our schools an opportunity to change their plan based on the feedback given and to provide an open communication that is focused on school improvement. At the beginning of the new 2-year implementation, schools are given a timeline for both year 1 and 2 of the school improvement plan process. Monitoring meetings are held with the principals, executive directors, and myself at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. The main purpose of the end of the year review is to reflect on first year implementation and determine necessary adjustments for the subsequent year. Year 2, during the second year, monitoring meetings are held and feedback is given within NC STAR. At the end of year 2, a meeting is held with the principal, executive directors, and myself to reflect on the goals and strategies that were implemented and to begin goal setting for the next 2-year school improvement plan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is all I have.
All right, this is an action item to adopt the school improvement plan. Motion by Ms. Ms. Guthrie, second by Ms. Cherry. Questions or comments?
I'd like to make a comment. That's a very, very thorough job on that. I really appreciate the way you presented that. It's very easy to understand, and you did a good job.
Thank you.
And I have one more question, please.
Yes.
At the end of the 9 weeks, will you have any type of feedback on the growth or the improvement which the principals have
Yes,
seen?
ma'am. So at principals meetings throughout each month, we go out and share data with the principals, so it is always a fluid process. At the principals meeting tomorrow, we will share data with them. They take that data and use it through the school improvement plan, and then the executive directors and myself can log in to see how that's being used, and we can see that data as well.
I love it.
One more thing.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dedman.
I really appreciate using the Google thing that you can do it from your
Hangout.
office to their office. That saves you, the principal, and our directors a lot of time that they can do that. I mean, that's good use of our technology and very good. Thanks.
Okay.
I like that.
All right. All those in favor, show by raising your hand. And it's unanimous. Ms. Powers, if you'll stay there, I believe you have the next item.
I do.
School improvement plans for low-performing schools.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This is an information item, Board.
So tonight, I will be sharing information with you about the low-performing schools process for the 2018-19 school year. In September, the State Board of Education released the low-performing schools for the 2018-19 school year. Low-performing schools are identified as schools that receive a performance grade of D or F and have a school growth score of met or not met expected growth. For the 2017-18 school year, out of 55 schools, Gaston County Schools had only 8 schools that did not meet growth. As a low-performing school, schools are required to submit a school improvement plan using the NC STAR platform. Out of the 125 indicators in the system, these schools are required to focus on 12 key indicators. The 4 indicators that I mentioned previously that all of our schools are focusing on are a part of those 12 key indicators that our low-performing schools will be focused on. The executive directors and the accountability department have worked with all low-performing schools on writing their plans and getting them ready for you to review. In 2014-15, the state of North Carolina began identifying low-performing schools. In the first year of identification, Gaston County Schools had 13 schools identified as low-performing. We have reduced that number by more than half. For the 2018-19 school year, we have 6 low-performing schools, as you can see listed here. The state of North Carolina has a timeline that they provide to us for each step of the low-performing school improvement plan process. On October 4th, we met with the principals of the identified schools, and then the principals notified parents of the school's low-performing status through a letter and began creating their plans with the support of the executive directors and accountability. Now that the plans have been created, the local Board of Education is given time to review these plans and provide any feedback. 30 days after the plans are reviewed, the local board will vote on the approval of the plans. This vote will occur at our November 13th meeting. After the plans are approved by the local Board of Education, the district has 5 days to submit the plans to the state through the NC STAR platform. Tonight, we have provided these plans for you to review. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is all I have.
Questions or comments from Ms. Powers? Okay. Very good. Thank you, and keep up the great work. That's quite a task. And great improvement to only have 5 schools on the list, as Ms. Guthrie applauded.
Is it November 13th or is it November 12th?
So the 13th, because the 12th.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Powers.
Thank you.
All right. The next item on the agenda is Beginning Teacher Support Program. Mr. Joey Clinton.
Good evening, Chairman Collier, Vice Chairman Ramsey, Superintendent Booker, and members of the board. It's my pleasure to introduce Risa Hoyle, our beginning teacher and mentor coordinator, to share and seek approval for our beginning teacher support plan. Ms. Hoyle?
Good evening. Good evening, Chairman Collier, Vice Chairman Ramsey, members of the board, and Superintendent Booker. It's my pleasure to bring to you our Beginning Teacher Support Program plan this evening and ask for your approval. This plan is created based on state board policy, and it is updated and brought to the board for approval anytime changes are made, and that typically happens every year. In our plan, we must include the following components. We must have a documented process for identifying our beginning teachers. We must create a plan for implementing a sound induction process, and that process includes our orientation through TIPS, also our mentor selection and assignment, creation of professional development plans, and also ongoing professional development. In addition to that, we have to have a formal process for conducting observations and evaluations. We have to also include in our plan information about participating in a beginning teacher support program monitoring with our peers in the local area, and we do that with other school systems in our region. Also a peer review. We look at things that we're doing in our beginning teacher support plan and also things that they're doing in their plan to try to learn from each other and improve what we do to support our teachers. In addition to those things, we have to make sure that we store our files and provide the transfer of file information should we have beginning teachers who transfer out of our district and into other districts. This particular year, we had some changes that were different than I'm used to. We actually had to have a few minor changes in our plan that have to do with terminology. Things like we had referenced the Office of Professional Learning in the past, and now we changed that to include the Office of, or the Department of Academic Services, the way that we're working with TIPS now. And also state updates with our new policy includes several things, so I wanted to mention those to you specifically. In the past, we mentioned the yearly teacher turnover report, and that is no longer named that any longer. It is now the state of the teaching profession in North Carolina, so we made that adjustment in our plan. Also, in the past, we had mentors stated that they must meet NESIS evaluation requirements. That's what we had in our terminology. They asked that we add must be rated at least proficient level on their most recent NESIS summative evaluation. So we did that. In the past, we just mentioned PDPs and about what that process was, but we also had to include the wording based on the North Carolina Professional Teaching Standards, which of course ours were, but we had to include that specific terminology there. In addition, in the past, we had progress of PDP goals was reviewed at periodic times throughout the year. We had to change that to progress of PDP goals is reviewed and signed by the beginning teacher, the mentor, the principal, and designee during the conferences at the beginning, middle, and end of each year. So we included that exact terminology in our plan as well. Those are the changes, and that includes my updates of the plan, unless you have any questions for me.
This is an action item. We'll take questions and comments first. Ms. Guthrie.
Okay, I have just one question. I heard Ms. Powell identify the 6 schools, low-performing schools. The beginning teachers in those schools, do they have teachers within the school to serve as mentors, or do you pull teachers from other schools in the district to serve as mentors in the low-performance schools?
It can be one of two things. Most of the time, if they're classroom positions, they are supported by a mentor in their school. The only time that we use a mentor at another school at this time is if the beginning teacher is an itinerant teacher and they need a mentor who is a music teacher and a school only has one music teacher. So if they're singletons, we will make that connection outside of the school system. But at this time, all of the beginning teachers are served by a mentor in their school if they're classroom positions, and then some outside of their school if they're itinerants.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I have one.
Ms. Cherry.
So all of our beginning teachers have a one-on-one mentor?
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody else, none are shared, besides the itinerants?
Every beginning teacher has a specific mentor. Some mentors serve more than one beginning teacher.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? All right, this is an action item. I need a motion. A motion by Mr. Davis, a second by Mr. Ramsey. I'm not sure. All those in favor show by raising your hand. And it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hull. Mr. Clinton. All right, the next item on our agenda is School Health Advisory Council. See, I've already struck out that one. Okay, teacher recruitment and talent development. Dr. Balknight.
Good evening again, Chairman Collier, Vice Chairman Ramsey, Superintendent Booker, and Board of Education members. I'm happy to welcome to the podium Ms. Catherine Plechnick. We have some great, exciting information to share with you. I think this is perfect timing for our presentation as we talk about beginning teacher support. This is a way that we continue to work with human resources to support and retain teachers in our school system, particularly at our at-risk schools. So I'll turn it over now to Ms. Plechnick.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to share about Beginner to Board Certified. My name is Catherine Plechnick, K-12 Curriculum Facilitator, and I'm also proud to share that I serve as the district's coordinator of National Board Certification. I am a National Board Certified teacher in early and middle childhood literacy. Beginner to Board Certified is a program that will provide professional learning to beginning teachers at Title I schools, starting in their 3rd year and continuing through years 4 and 5 to support them along the journey of achieving National Board Certification. Our district's new pilot is based on Wake County's nationally recognized Beginner to Board Certified model. Wake County currently leads the nation in number of National Board Certified teachers. Our pilot has been created in collaboration with the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards and the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, specifically the Educator Effectiveness Division, which coordinates National Board certification for the state. The professional learning provided through Beginner to Board Certified, delivered through a cohort model, will support these candidates throughout the entire process of achieving National Board certification. National Board Certification is the gold standard in teacher evaluation. Just as all professions have a national board of standards, such as engineering, medicine, and law, so too does education. And ours is the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. Developed and revised by practicing educators based on research and practitioner expertise, the National Board's 5 core propositions and standards describe what accomplished teachers should know and be able to do to have a positive impact on student learning. National Board Certification identifies teachers who meet those standards through a performance-based, peer-reviewed series of assessment components. There are 25 different certificate areas that represent 16 different subject areas and 4 developmental levels, ranging from pre-K to 12th grade. There are many reasons to become board certified, but first and foremost is that students with board certified teachers learn more than their peers without board certified teachers. National Board candidacy is a quality, evidence-based professional development and growth opportunity for teachers. Our state provides National Board certified teachers 8 renewal credits for completing initial certification and a 12% pay increase for the 5-year life of certification. National Board certification is renewable every 5 years. The goals of Beginner to Board Certified are to recruit highly qualified educators to serve students at Title I schools, to retain beginning teachers by engaging and supporting them in the board certification process, and to develop the talent of the educators at these Title I schools to positively impact student learning, as outlined by the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. So again, the primary purpose of this new pilot program is better learning for students through recruitment, retention, and talent development of teachers at Title I schools. I'm going to give you a moment to read this quote. The research is clear. Students with board certified teachers learn more. In addition, Beginner to Board Certified is connected to our district's strategic plan. It's also aligned to the North Carolina Educator Evaluator System. And this is intentional because when our state was tasked with creating an evaluation system for teachers, they based that system on the National Board's 5 core propositions. So there is that direct alignment between the 5 core propositions of the National Board and our educator evaluation system. Gaston County Schools can increase teacher retention by preparing educators to pursue board certification and supporting them during the process. National Board certification is the next step in the career continuum for beginning teachers. Details about our Beginner to Board Certified program include that the professional learning will be delivered through a cohort model. Monthly support will be provided. Also, as with all things connected to the National Board, it will be student-centered. We have a website to assist with building awareness about Beginner to Board Certified for Gaston County Schools. Cohort members will sign a contract agreeing to fully participate in all Beginner to Board Certified requirements. Cohort members will also agree to remain at their school for the 2 years during the process and for the 1 year after achieving National Board certification. In addition to providing personalized monthly support, Gaston County Schools will also reimburse the $1,900 assessment fee to all participants who complete the program requirements. A low-interest loan is available from the state for initial payment. Our district already provides a $1,000 one-time bonus to National Board certified teachers when they first achieve certification. Recruitment for our first cohort is beginning in fall 2018. Our goal is to have 20 beginning teachers from Title I schools participate in our first cohort. The pilot will begin in spring 2019. On this slide, you see an image of a recruitment flyer listing 4 reasons why a beginning teacher would want to apply for beginner to board certified. First and foremost is that national board certification results in better learning for students. Teachers will also receive personalized support, reimbursement of the $1,900 assessment fee, and the 12% pay increase from the state when they achieve national board certification. The cohort model of beginner to board certified will help ensure collaboration, community, and consistency for the participants. And again, the primary purpose is better learning for students through recruitment, retention, and talent development of teachers at our Title I schools. Are there any questions about our new beginner to board certified program?
Okay, Mr. Devon.
If I had a small child, I'd want that child to be taught by you. I just, you can just see you have all that pizzazz. You do a good job. Now, I have no questions about that. I think it's a great program. I'm glad that we are reimbursing the teachers.
And that's
the main thing that our teachers. Because a lot of them were complaining, or, not getting that money back. So
a couple points I hope you did pick up, the reimbursement. But first, you heard Ms. Pleshnick talk about working with Wake County. This is an example of why job alikes, private industry calls it peer-to-peer reviews, are very effective. And so she and Dr. Balknight spent time in job alikes and heard about this program, heard about the retention, which we work hard on retention. You see Mr. Clinton smiling as we're talking about this. And so she has worked very hard to develop this. So one of the questions is, well, why are you talking about this to us? This is one that was an unbudgeted item that Ms. Pleshnick brought to senior leadership. Mr. Hoskins has validated that we can afford to invest the funds for it, but it's just, again, to the board, we always try to be open and transparent about anything we're working on that's outside of what you all approved as part of the budget. It's well within the authority of the folks doing it, but we wanted you to know about it, and you see there in your board agenda item the nominal cost that would be to the district, and we just think it's an excellent program. So I would ask that you please approve this.
All right, Mr. Davis.
Well, I just wanted to make a couple of points. One, I think this is a fantastic program to help attract and retain quality teachers. I mean, one of the things that we as a board are of course working on is continuing to attract quality educators, and these types of benefits to our employees is something that definitely helps that. Helps to grow our teachers through professional development, which is so important, because that then enhances the learning opportunities for each of our students. And so I just wanted to say that I think this is a fantastic program. I think it will help improve our Title I schools, which is so important. And so I just want to thank everybody who has been working on this for that hard work, and I look forward to hearing about this again. And I don't think we have to vote to approve it, but I'm definitely a supporter of this. I think this is absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much.
Ms. Guthrie.
I know that there is rigor in the curriculum for seeking board certification, and I also feel that if we, and I heard you say several times that this is good for our Title I schools, and it really makes me feel good to know that you're already cognizant of the fact that these teachers ought to be first in our Title I schools, maybe encouraged to seek that type of certification. I think that's what you were saying.
Yes.
But I just strongly believe that if we can find teachers that are interested in getting the board certification, and we have the resources to support that, then we are going to see a difference in our low-performing schools because of the rigor that they need to have in seeking that board certification. They're going to spill that over into the classroom, and the win-win are the children.
Ms. Cherry.
When is the registration window closing for this fall?
We are going to close it in late December. So recruitment is going to start tomorrow at our principals meeting, and we're going to collaborate with Human Resources to make sure that not only do the beginning teachers get the information, but also their mentors. So our plan is to visit every beginning teacher in their third year to, of course, inform them of the program, but also key stakeholders like mentors.
As Mr. Davis mentioned, this is not an action item, but Mr. Hoskins says this is well within the means of funding this. This initiative is going to cost $51,000, and I would like to get a consensus amongst the board so the staff sees that we're fine to move forward with that. If I can see a hand of consensus, that's unanimous. So I just wanted to, even though it's not an action item, just get a consensus amongst the board for what we're doing here tonight. And thank you for all your great work. Teachers. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay. The next item on the board, I'm sorry. Those are some students. Okay, the next item on our board is the Student Health Advisory Council. Dr. Balknight, you're going to send Miss Dr. Bostick up, okay?
Good evening, Chairman Collier, Vice Chairman Ramsey, Superintendent Booker, and members of the board. Tonight, I just wanted to share information with you regarding our School Health Advisory Council. Our School Health Advisory Council is an advisory team. It is made up of individuals in Gaston County, and it is a requirement of our board policy that we maintain a team. Members are selected from areas of health education, mental health, public sector. We do have a student representative also, and we do meet 3 times a year. As part of this, during the 2017-2018 school year, North Carolina Department for Public Instruction adopted the whole school, whole community, whole child model that you see here. This model builds on elements of the traditional coordinated school health approach and also calls for greater alignment, integration, and collaboration between education and health to improve each child's cognitive, physical, social, and emotional development. And I call your attention to the areas represented in the blue circle. Because one of the accomplishments of the SHAC committee during the 2017-18 school year was to restructure the membership to ensure that we were representing all of those areas outlined in that blue. There was also some review of the health curriculum, and there were some updates during the 2017-18 school year that were put out by the Department for Public Instruction that the committee reviewed and made recommendations on. They also implemented the Healthy Harvest Gardening Program, was implemented in 7 of our elementary schools. And they received updates and provided information and suggestions on our school nutrition program, including reviewing menu changes, looking at summer feeding programs, and our after-school feeding program that happens through the Aspire program. Our 2018-19 dates are November 19th, January 28th, and April 22nd. We had originally planned to have a meeting in September, but Hurricane Florence changed our plan for that. During this school year, we do plan to have a focus on child obesity through looking at and reviewing the results of the community food assessment that is currently being administered by the Cooperative Extension and the Health Department. So being able to review that data to kind of see where we are and where we need to go from here, as well as reviewing other data sources such as the Youth Risk Behavior Survey to discuss how we can further impact social and mental health in our community and in our district with our students.
Okay. Any questions for Dr. Bostick? I'd like to thank Mr. Ushery, who's served on this council. Yes. The board members. Ms. Roberts used to do it before him. Thank you, Ms. Roberts. But Mr. Ushery, thank you for serving on this council. Any questions for Dr. Balknight or Dr. Bostick?
You're welcome to ask Dr. Balknight.
Well, you were very thorough and very well informed, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm getting my dots and my Dr. B's mixed up tonight. So, thank you, Ms. Bostick.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the School Safety Equipment Grant. Dr. Houchard.
Chairman Collier, Board of Education members, Superintendent Booker, good evening. I'm fortunate enough to stand here with you tonight to give you good news about a safety grant that Gaston County Schools has recently received. I would like to take a moment to share with you how appreciative I am of the leadership team, the principals, local law enforcement, Glenn Bratton, senior leadership, how hard they work to keep our schools safe and secure. You know, principals have an awesome responsibility and a job to lead our schools. And I can assure you they wake up in the morning and they end their day thinking about how they can better keep our schools safe and secure. And I'm very appreciative of the work that they do. The General Assembly, in conjunction with the State Superintendent, earmarked dollars out of safety money that was legislatively given to the state and LEAs for equipment, $3 million to be exact. So we were able to apply for that funding in no more than $5 per student. It was earmarked for equipment. Gaston County received $136,000 for equipment, and we're going to purchase walkie-talkies, batteries, megaphones, metal detection devices, and walk-through metal detection devices. That equipment is going to be used to replace aging equipment. We have some that is well beyond life use, 10 years old, and then we can supplant and supplement other walkie-talkies and devices in our schools. So we are very fortunate to have received this grant. It's going to help our principals maintain safe and secure schools. Any questions?
Questions for Dr. Huchard? Mr. Davis.
Well, we have some leniency there once we determine how many handheld devices we have versus walk-through devices. So all of our schools have two, our high schools have two, some have three, all of our middle schools have one walk-through device. We're going to inventory that. We know we're going to buy one walk-through device, potentially two, and we would just offset the handheld devices once we purchase a walk-through device. And they're using those handheld devices and walk-through devices in our schools. High schools have to do metal detection twice a week and middle schools once a week. So they are getting a lot of use.
I'll just make a comment. The superintendent's letter to us at the end of the week where he goes around and talks to students and where the students share information with them, they talked about the frequency of the metal detection at the schools, and they would like to see that increase. And I thought that was some good feedback from our students to the superintendent, yeah. And plays right into what we're doing here to try to increase the frequency and without creating a bottleneck getting into the school.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments? Dr. Huchard, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. It's good news for the grant. All right, the next item is acceptance of the bid to construct Belmont Middle School. This is an action item. Mr. Gary Hoskins.
Good evening, Chairman Collier, Vice Chairman Ramsey, members of the board, Superintendent Booker. It's just been over a year that Gaston County provided us with funding to buy 78 acres of land off of South Point Road in Belmont for the site to be used as a replacement of Belmont Middle School, one of our oldest schools out of our 54 that we have. Shortly after that, we engaged LS3P to design the new middle school. And if you recall, LS3P was the architectural firm that also did Stanley Middle School. This new school will have a basic student capacity of 1,000 students, and the core areas of the building, the cafeteria, the media center, etc., gymnasium, will be able to accommodate 1,200 students. Just last month, September 9th, we advertised for sealed bid for the construction of the 155,000 square foot middle school. And on September 18th, we held our pre-bid conference at Stanley Middle School because the two schools will have a lot of similarities. And so that gave the general contractors that came, we had about 10 general contractors show up for the pre-bid conference, gave them an opportunity to walk through Stanley Middle School and take a look at what we're looking in Belmont. We accepted and opened the sealed bids on October 9th. And we have the certified bid tab here. We had 8 qualified bidders, which was a very high number, much higher than we had for Pleasant Ridge or for Stanley. The range of the base bids was $33.54 million was the low. $39.95 million was the high bid. We did have 4 alternates on the bid tab, and those included preferred door hardware, preferred HVAC vendor, preferred boilers, and preferred electrical. The low bidder was Beam Construction out of Cherryville, North Carolina. And as you recall, Beam Construction also was the builder that did Pleasant Ridge Elementary School. Their base bid was $33,540,000. Their bid on alternates 1, 3, and 4, received a bid of 0, which means it would be no additional cost to cover those alternates. And alternate number 2, the HVAC, has a bid of $427,700. So this is an action item, and we do recommend that the board accept the bid by Beam Construction to construct the new middle school. As you're aware, the county has to sell bonds in order to fund this. October 30th is the date of the bond sale. Once the bond sale occurs, it will close on or about November 15th, and that's the date that we would receive the funding from the county. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I will return it back to you.
Okay. Mr. Dedman.
Mr. Chairman, it'd be my pleasure to recommend the Beam Construction for the bid of the new Belmont Middle School.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Dedman, second by Mr. Davis. Any questions or comments?
They're going to have it done before the end of the year. Just kidding.
I'm excited that we're finally, I'm excited that we have gotten to this point.
I am too.
Yes. It's been a long journey.
Yes, and this bond will be passed out of the $250 million bond that was just passed this previous spring by the voters of Gaston County. The first issue, as Mr. Hoskins said, will be issued, the majority of it will be for this Belmont Middle School. So with no other questions or comments, all in favor, show by raising your hand. And it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoskins. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. This is an action item. A motion by Mr. Ushery, second by Mr. Ramsey. Any questions or comments about the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, show by raising your hand. And it's unanimous. Superintendent comments.
Thank you, Mr. Collier, members of the board. I have several items to talk about this evening. First, I wanted to thank all of you for your support. It's kind of unique to be sitting here in the middle of October and have already had to deal with school closings. So Hurricane Michael affected our area surprisingly more than Florence did, and we were forced to close school and all activities in the district on Thursday because of the storm. We started monitoring the storm actually early in the week, but intensified on Wednesday, and then we're up most of the night Thursday working with law enforcement and emergency management personnel. We would always love to be able to call it at 6 o'clock in the evening and make everybody get a good night's sleep, but the storm, as late as 2 in the morning, we were all pretty confident that we could go to school, but it really intensified and sped up. And so by 4 in the morning, it became apparent we would. So that's why the notification went out at 5 in the morning to close schools. And then we learned it was obviously the right call. We had numerous areas of our community deal with flash flooding, power outages. 20 of our schools at some point during the day would lose power and regain. We had 2 that actually stayed out of power overnight into Friday. So there was a lot of work done by our administrative teams in each of the schools, as well as senior staff, to be on alert and ready to handle this. And just, again, appreciate your support, the community's understanding with what we were dealing with. This past Tuesday at Ashbrook High School hosted our parent advisory for the fall. It gave us an opportunity to talk with parents about our test results from last year, about achievements from last year, but to also talk about our year ahead and what we saw coming, and then to really talk about the future and the strategic plan that we need to update, because we'll be completing our 5-year strategic plan with the culmination of this year, and so we'll begin that planning process. And we had some breakout sessions and got great comments from the attendees to help with that process. It was very appreciative of all the parents that were involved and our administrators that were there, and it made a great productive meeting for everyone that was involved. And thanks to Ms. Matson and her team, we promised folks that we would start by 6:15 and be out before 8, and at 7:57 the building was clear except for like 5 folks standing around. So we appreciate all the hard work that went into planning an event like that with some 300 people attending. So thank you to her team. School safety is something that we've talked about a couple times tonight already. This past Friday, if you saw the Gazette this morning on the front page, they highlighted the North Carolina House Select Committee on School Safety, and we were the prime presenters for that meeting. And what we tried to highlight was what we have done over the years for safety. Many of you will remember we had a safety committee in 2013 to evaluate what we had done, because we have been held up as a model. It goes back to pre-Columbine. This school system in this community had talked about school safety. And so we talked about how you had to be diligent and vigilant in what you do. And we talked about how critical our partnerships with local law enforcement are and all that they do to support us. But also, Dr. Baltnight highlighted and talked about the different mental health initiatives that we've implemented throughout our district. And that was one of the things that Representative Torbett wanted highlighted, because he's familiar with what we're doing. It actually come and spent over an hour and a half with Dr. Baltnight reviewing what we were doing, and it was just a great opportunity for us to talk about what's going on in our schools, and just we got great feedback in that meeting. Sheriff Cloninger as well as Chief Ramey were there to present and talk about what we do as a community. So just wanted you to know that had gone on. And another item that you may have seen, the Charlotte Business Journal, a lot of people like to look at school data. Well, they did an analysis of the 100 high schools in our general geographic area, and they used some various data from test scores and looked at some different career opportunities. And the first and second schools out of 100, Highland School of Technology was rated the best high school out of 100 in the region, and then the Gaston Early College was ranked number 2, and this was where they evaluated college and career readiness. I will say that all of our schools were I think you know, when we talk about career readiness and college readiness, we've really worked hard on our career and technical education, and we're anxiously awaiting to get our results back for last year on all the credentialing of our students. Remember, we're the 10th largest district. Last year we were 4th in credentialing, and we believe that we will equal or improve on that this year, and so we're anxious to get that, because that's a data number that nobody had to calculate. It'll come right at us from the state. So a lot of good things are going on, and I applaud those 2 schools, but all of our high schools for the great work that they're doing of preparing children for their future. Finally, many of you were in attendance for our big parade on September 22nd. What an event, and what a celebration of our 50th anniversary to get to watch all those different activities that went. I had people call, and if you remember, the parade started with the ROTC walking with that large flag, and people remembering about ROTC programs, because if you haven't been in schools, well, you forget all the different facets of what are going on in our schools. And we paid recognition to our history, and had some of the former schools that made up the 50 with the Lincoln School as well as the Highland School alumni groups participating. So it was exciting to see that. We had retirees in the parade, so a lot of different floats. Of course, you know, we've always said you can't have a parade without our bands, and all of our bands to be part of that, highlighted by Highland creating a marching band for the first time so that they could be a part of it. So it was a really neat thing. And to continue the celebration, if you have a moment, we encourage you to stop by the Gaston Public Library on Garrison Boulevard, the main branch. They have allowed us to put a display up of pictures from the 50th parade, and so they're neat to go by and see and live through that. And so we appreciate, again, all your support with that, and to the community for all the support. It was just great to see the number of folks that turned out. You know, it was unfortunate the heat and the intensity that it brought, and I appreciate a lot of folks stepping up and responding to support our children through some of that heat and the work that they did. So it was a great event for this community, and one that a lot of people are talking about today. I had the pleasure to represent you all at the Governor's Mansion today, and something that somebody came up to me and said, "You all did a parade?" And so it's just something that's not done a lot, and people were really impressed by that. And so thank you all for all that you do to support our students and our teachers, and that concludes my comments, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Booker. I'd like to point out, and for those that may not know and folks that are out there listening, our staff works very hard. It was a lot of work to put that parade together. It was a lot of thankless time and hours to put that together. Last week even, our staff worked very late nights at the parent-teacher advisory meeting, and Friday night for the staff and Mr. Booker and his cabinet that were all there with the Honorable John Torbett until 7 p.m. on a Friday night, working well into their weekend. We get our money's worth with staff. I will tell you that. They work long and hard hours, and I just want to thank you on behalf of the board for all the work that you do and the countless long hours that you never get recognized for. Thank you very much. With that, we need to go in executive session. For North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 for consultation with attorney. In order to consult with the board's attorney and protect attorney-client privilege and to receive advice with respect to the lawsuit captioned Dr. James Robert White versus the Gaston County Board of Education. And also to consult with the board's attorney to protect attorney-client privilege to receive advice with respect to the lawsuit captioned MB Realty Group Incorporated and Matt Beckham versus the Gaston County Board of Education and Gaston County et al. And North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A6 for personnel. We will have a statement after closed session, and we will have some personnel announcements after closed session. Motion to go in closed session by Mr. Ramsey, second by Mr. Davis. All those in favor, show by raising your hand. It's unanimous, and we are going into closed session. Welcome back. We're now in open session. Mr. Davis has a statement regarding the White case that we went into privileged session for. Mr. Davis will make a statement on behalf of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Collier. The lawsuit captioned Dr. James White versus Gaston County Board of Education in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of North Carolina, case number 3:16 CV 552 has been settled. The board's insurer, Liberty Mutual Insurance Company, agreed to pay plaintiff $150,000 in exchange for a full dismissal of the litigation. There was no admission of liability by the board. A copy of the settlement agreement will be maintained in the board's records.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. With no other business, the board chairman will recognize Mr. Lee Dedman. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Dedman, second by Ms. Cherry. All those in favor, show by raising your hand. And thank you for the long evening and all your work. Good night. We are adjourned.